All right, everybody. Welcome on the Jerkmonger Show. I am your host, the Jerkmonger, coming at you live from Tampa, Florida on my Saturday, spooky Saturday, walk and talk edition. That was weird. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have bags under my eyes, guys, because I just woke up. I just got out of bed. I just got out of bed and I started walking. That's how I do it. That's the only way I can keep this going. I got to keep this habit rolling. I mean, when I have my kids, I take them to school. I get up, prepare, take them to school. Good morning, Andrew J. Take them to school. Then on other days, when I don't have to take them to school, I try to walk as soon as possible. I don't want to delay. I don't want to procrastinate. If I do, I will lose tons of energy on this. So, got to keep this going. Got to keep it moving. Keep it rocking. Shinto Ketchup, what's up, my man? What's happening? Hot stuff. Beautiful cranes flying around. I need to get these keys out of my pocket. They're annoying me. They're annoying me. They're gonna annoy you guys. Anyway, so what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's feeling good. This is kind of my, what you guys call this, a vlog, a health vlog. I think that's what this categorizes as, right? A health vlog, a video log of me walking and sharing my experiences. I'm not even sure if it's about weight loss, although that is part of it. I'm a little disappointed. I have a pair of jeans that I still can't fit in. It's driving me crazy. Manfred, good morning to Jerk Walker. Word. Shinto says, I got up early to exercise. That's your fault. Word. Nobody's going to break your stride. Nobody's going to hold me down. Oh, no. I got to keep on moving. Well, that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. So, I'm calling this a spooky Saturday edition because I am headed to Spooky Empire again today. There's a truck coming. It's coming fast. It's like he can't slow down. Making sure guide his car around me. Thank you very much. I'm at Spooky Empire, and it's a very slow show. Very slow show. And I think it's because it's not in the same place it was. It's been for years now. It's always been in Orlando. I think it's twice a year, and we're catching the tail. And this is supposed to be the better version, which is around Halloween, except they put it on Halloween. And they're talking about taking it back to Orlando, which is sad. Sad for me, not sad for them, though. I mean, if it's good for their business, it's good for their business. Who am I to say no, right? So it's better for my business for them to stay here, but let me see. Kari Press, there's no such thing as Spooky Empire schemes and scams. Spooky Empire, it exists. Yeah, so it's a cool little show, man. It's just, the only thing is, this is gonna sound crazy. So it's not a big show, and coming to Tampa Convention Center kind of proves it because this is a genuine convention center. Where they've been holding it is at this hotel in Orlando, which, by the way, is fantastic. And it's been held there for so long, and it's almost just traditional to be there. What they are, what the that what they have is a small convention space behind the hotel, like a convention center, but it's not nearly as big as Tampa Bay Convention Center. And Tampa Bay Convention Center is not as big as the Javits Center. So take that with a grain of salt. But the reality is that the convention center they have is so small that the biggest ballroom they have had all of the vendors in it, and it was tight, right? So I will say, and this is kind of the this is a thought I'm having about these sort of things. Good morning, Dark Admiral. Um, the tightness of that show made it cozier, made it more. You could tell it was like when I went last year, it was like a last bastion. I remember thinking, I like this show because it's not too big. It's not so big that you get lost in it. So they moved it to Tampa. We were very excited. The space is much bigger. And like they have tattoo artists, right? Because obviously, for some reason, tattoos and horror go together. It's always, I guess, like that. It's funny. They have this kid zone. The kid zone's hilarious because it's right next to this main stage, and then there's all these tattoo artists. They're jamming some heavy, old school heavy metal, like Dio and all kinds of stuff, and next to the kid zone. Holy diver. Those kids like, yeah, let's go holy diving. I just cracking me up, you know. And then they did play some Thriller though. Thriller, my favorite song. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is that it's kind of nice. It's okay if a convention is small. I know some of these convention guys wish I mean, obviously, they want their business to grow. But because our space is so much larger and because we have so much more room, it almost felt, this show feels like it's more of like a trade show. Can you imagine a horror trade show? That's what it feels like. It's it's changed the dynamic of that convention so much that I'm not surprised that if they don't keep it after all, which they said they're still thinking about it, but they advertised on the back of the program, back to Orlando in 2020. So, you know, I guess that's what it is. You know, it's sometimes growth is always good, but sometimes charm is good too. It's one of the reasons why I know a lot of you guys make fun of me for this, but it's one of the reasons why I I really kind of enjoy these little stupid Hallmark movies. There's a charm in it, you know. It's like trying to tell everyone they need to move to New York. Like that's not what everybody needs to do. And it's ironic because a lot of New Yorkers like, oh, New York's the best, but then a lot of people live in the suburbs and out in the on the hills, out in Rockland County, like my uncle. You know, it's like the city. It can't always be about the city. It can't always be about the hustle and bustle. It can't always be about mega growth. Sometimes it's okay to be slow. I understand that when you're in a large corporation, a large business, you want that to grow. At that point, it loses its charm. At that point, you're just creating products. But sometimes a small business is a small business. And I'm glad that small business exists. That maybe what I should have called this was Small Business Saturday, because that's really what I'm trying to get at, is that we've lost our soul to some of these gigantic corporations, and and it's too bad, you know, because I like flower shops. I barely shop at them though, but everything's changed. It's made things so much more difficult. This next generation of kids will never know what it's like to to genuinely go to a hardware store, unless it's like a big box store like Home Depot's, and that's not quite a big box store, but you know what I mean. Dark Admiral says, I know I've come to prefer the smaller local cons because it's more about comics, etc., not celebrity. Oh, they have celebrities here too. Did you guys hear? I actually have a good friend that I'm planning on interviewing at Curry Press. I got the scoop. I have a friend who is very aware of some of the ins and outs and the details of the fall of Walker Stalker Con, not just because the show's over, but I hear flower shop adjacent. Shut up. um, but not just because the show's over, but the that social media has played in the destruction of that convention. I have to warn my friend not to talk too much because he'll say stuff he probably shouldn't say. So, but that convention is disassembled quickly, and and the reasons may come across like they may come across like boohoo, whatever, convention guy, but they're reasonable to me because of the way things are. They got a celebrity. It's the jerkmonger. Right on, Koigi. Hey, thank you so much. No more Walker Stalker cons? Apparently not. This convention may have been the last one. I don't think they can recover from it, from what happened. Well, so I'll tell you, and I think it's a Twitter thing too. I love you, brother. Yeah, of course I know. Uh, what happened was, in general, like I said, I'm gonna give you the brief version because I don't know all the details. Um, as it was told to me, was that the convention, when they hire these guys, these celebrities, they have to pay them up front, and people are coming to these conventions. It's a vicious cycle situation, right? Because they pay for these conventions to host these celebrities that people are paying to go see the celebrities. And let's say they get so big that they're hiring, let's just do a quick round numbers. Let's just use 5. All right, so 5 celebrities. I'll make it 10 so that we can give you a percentage. Let's say they do 10 celebrities, and 6 of them decide they're going to cancel. Which, if anyone's gone to a convention, you know how frequent and how often that happens. And it's because we've become so used to it. These celebrities have become used to it, but they don't understand. They're not really con people. They're not fans. They are part of that group of people that have kind of they're normies, which is nothing wrong with that, but they're normies that have taken over the cons. So the dynamic of the con, like I said, like this convention center is too big. It's too much room. It makes it, we're all lined up in this weird little, it was a grid situation in the other convention center, but they're all lined up in this weird little grid thing. All the celebrities are together. All the tattoo artists are together with the celebrities, with the vendors, with Artist Alley. And Artist Alley, by the way, is so sad. So sad. Because in the other convention, Artist Alley was in the perimeter of the vendor hall. In this one, they're on one section, just like every convention I go to. Artists and Artist Alley always just get pushed to the side because all these conventions really need are our money, right, to get the thing going. However, in the case of Walker Stalker, as it was told to me, if 6 out of 10, I'm just using that as a number, if 60% of your people say not going to come, the customer who came to see Celebrity X wants a refund. And they're demanding that refund. So unlike a Indiegogo or Kickstarter, this convention business is drawing people in and coming to these shows. That's the way that's their whole business model. And so we're not the founders of the business model. We're not contributing to we're wishing you well for this business model. That is the business model. And so they have to refund that money. Well, what if you made a bad business choice? One bad business decision. Why? I'm banking on this money to pay for this so I can take care of that. A lot of us have dealt with that. I've done it. A lot of people have done it. And it creates trouble. So a lot of times the success of a business is on the surface like, man, this guy did great. This gal did wonderful. What you don't know are some of the behind the scenes of what it took to do that, how much sacrifice. So, and this is because of to get this thing to grow. Long story short, it's too late for that, right? Walker Stalker probably won't come back. So, and these business things happen all the time. You work for a company. I used to work for this company whose biggest biggest windfall came from who won the World Series. Can you imagine that? You understand what I mean, right? In other words, if it was all about markets, if, believe it or not, this company I used to work for, if the Yankees won too much, we wouldn't make that much money. The Yankees, why? Because while fans are fans, and Yankees are pretty rabid fans, they don't always want to buy new shirts. So they don't need a new shirt. And as the years, as their winning kept happening, for example, they weren't selling as much. Now you come to a market where the fans are like Chicago, or if the fans just couldn't wait for the Cubs to win. As soon as they win, boom, tons of money. And we would gauge our success literally on something that we could not control. Isn't that crazy? Do you understand how maddening that is? That's how we would determine our bonus. That's how we would determine everything. Everything that our business was built on rested on the shoulders of that information. Then you imagine if a little old t-shirt company depends on that. Now you understand why people are so concerned about people gambling in sports. Anyway, let's see if I can read some more of your guys' comments. Mike D'Souza, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Oh man, Elliot, you got that groveling voice this morning. At least you sound more like a Batman. Say, give me your candy, kid. Give me your candy. I'm Batman. Andrew J says, hey, Kura. I'm going to call you Kuro. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, man. I apologize. I'm going to call you Kuro. That's why I prefer small shows that are comic conventions, not pop culture shows. Everyone says, yo. So, yeah. So, of the big shows, that's why I like New York. I will say this. As big and corporate as ReedPop is, I like knowing Mike Negan runs Artist Alley. And Artist Alley is so big that it feels like its own convention. Ironic. But yeah, so these smaller shows, when they move from small to medium, and then from medium to large, there are some growing pains. And I think, you know, it's quite it's quite aggravating, I imagine, for the people who use this as a business. Now, then there goes that. So now a bunch of us, artists, booksellers, retail stores. God, I can't imagine. I have friends who are retailers, who are comic shop owners. I can't imagine the stress they must go through on a weekly basis just to make sure they have enough product for their customers. Mike D'Souza says, LOL, sounded like so much of what business success was outside of their control. Yeah, that's exactly right. Business is out of our control. If the success of my business is out of my control, no, don't get me wrong. Like if I was to create a product and let's say a horse and buggy, and along comes this thing called an automobile, and it moves the interest in my product. That to me is a necessary condition of the business. You're talking about technology and advancements of society and civilization. That's necessary. No one can control that. In fact, that's what business really is about, is the growth and evolution of that product through civilization and technology. But going back to when the business depends on X factors that you have no control of. I can control material. Well, maybe not. Maybe you can only control so much material, but we're living in the age of plastic. Come on. Everything's made, everyone's recycling. And so if everyone's recycling and we're getting plastics, whatever, we're saving the world. So let's just assume that everything's moving smoothly. I don't even trust the recycling industry. They always say, no one's recycling enough. Probably are, but we don't know. We won't know until it's too late. Anyway, so Suffice it to say that horror, now comic books are a niche product, but pop culture, as it's become pop culture, which is crazy now. Now that I look back at these ideas, I kind of feel like, how do we get here? How did we get to the point? I remember I used to say, I can't wait. I hope they make a movie. That's because I was so naive. I thought movies were made for the pleasure of making them. It never really occurred to me that there was a dollar value assigned to that. Of course there was. I just didn't understand it back then. Um, I used to think how great it would be if we could get a movie of Spider-Man. And now that I'm older and I'm a businessman, and many of us are, business person, whatever you want to call it, you get a lot of, impossible scenarios where we shouldn't even exist right now as an industry. And yet there are whole other industries built on the back of this industry, on what do you call it, pop culture, and on the back of comic books and superheroes. Who would think, So that's one of the reasons why we have to be very delicate with this. A lot of people who are heavy into the nature are really careful how we handle the rivers, how we handle the ponds and the field mice and all that such things. We have to be careful how we handle this community of collectors and buyers and love of this genre, of this particular. There's no Wild West conventions. I'm saying that because that just reminds me of how delicate, how fragile the comics industry really is. Now make it a convention about horror. Or how about a convention built around the Walking Dead show? Can you imagine a convention built around a show? Wow, man. That's a weird thing. It's weird. I don't care how you cut it, what you call it. It's weird. So, I guess, what am I trying to say? I'm saying that because all it takes is for a show to end. Well, let's see. That's the maddening part, says Dark Admiral. The movies are making money, hand over fist, but the source material hasn't gained much from it, if at all. Well, yeah. I guess here's the thing, though. Think about it this way, Dark. These live streams are they definitely cater to my own, what do you call it? People want to hear themselves talk all the time. I get to talk and control the conversation. I feel bad for you guys. Shut up, Elliot. Shut up. Interesting. Shades outside the house. Here's the thing, though. We get it, right? Because at what the comic book companies are doing, for good or bad. But imagine if they just made them like the movies. Now we're making the comics just like the movies. I've made the argument myself. How come the comics don't reflect what's happening in the movies? Mainly because the movies were more true to the source material than the comics have been, seems, recently. But then all of a sudden, conveniently, the comic books do look like the movies, don't they? And we can't take it. It's driving us crazy. Because it's not the content. It's not about the movie. It's not about the package. I keep saying this. I said this on my Instagram chat recently. It's not about... It's the art form itself is what we're preserving. Not the package. People are mad because it's not on paper or if it's on digital or not, blah, blah, blah. The art form must survive. I argued, can you imagine the caveman that said, no way, no comic on wall, no comic on book. All right, well, too bad, caveman. It's in the book. Now we call them comic books. They used to be comic strips. The strip guy said, no, no comic on strip, no comic in floppies. Oh, sorry, strip guy. Now it's in comic books. The digital comes along. No, no comic on comic book floppy, no comic digital. I'm, of course, pretending to be a Neanderthal as I say that. And I'm sure next time, no, no comics digital, no comics in the ether around your head. However the next package is. It's not about the package, it's about the content. That's what we're frustrated about with the IPs. I don't care how the package is, I just want good content. The problem is the content's not that great. So anyway, yeah, I just think it's an interesting observation. You brought it up, that about the movies making money, not the comics, not the source material. But let's face it, man, we've got how many years of Marvel? How many years of DC? We're past 80 years already, right? The IFA. Unga Sashinto. Good morning, Adventure. How you doing, man? Mike D'Souza says, do you think creative businesses have an advantage to that kind of competition? I don't think anyone can do a better jerkmonger art. Jerkmonger is jerkmonger. Well, I think you're acknowledging a niche of a niche. You know, you've got the comic book business, and if all else fails, at least my fans will be there. Yeah, in a way. But in another way, you just described another impossible competition scenario. I can't compete with you if you're a fan of artist X. I can't compete with that artist X. So how do I build my business out? So that's why the comic book is such so comic. I'm gonna start using the word comic. I think comic book, I'm willing to let that go. I'm willing to let just the comics, however they exist. The comic is the perfect blend of art, story, subject matter. And you can afford to look at that and say, you know what? That's decent. You know, that's a good little, that is a good mix. I mean, you've got artists, they call themselves artists and they're really not that good. You've got writers that call themselves writers, but they really don't write that well. It's a perfect storm, man. And then if that artist or that writer or that colorist or that letterer or whatever member of the team decides to leave, and then that becomes that. That creates a problem, right? That product will never be the same. It's like when you buy, one thing for years, like, oh, this thing's perfect, and I always just replace it with the same part. Or you go to a restaurant, man, this food is so good, and it's been like this for years, and then they get new ownership. Same name, same menu. The owner comes and adjusts the recipe just a bit, throws it all off. That could be the demise of that business. So I don't know. It really protects us. Unless you're just buying my art. But no one just buys my art. Everyone wants to buy, in this community, it's mostly, I want that comic. So you want that mix of art and story. Comic is different. Dark says, I guess it bothers me most because I've gotten to know a lot of the shop owners, and I hate to see neighborhood cornerstones disappear. And I think that's true. But you remember, comic shops they weren't always a cornerstone. They're pretty modern. I remember when comic shops started opening up, and they took away the newsstands, and the newsstands used to be the cornerstone. That's what I'm talking about. So, I mean, the next thing to say then is stay frosty, my friends. Stay frosty, stay flexible. Times they are changing. And with technology's advancements, I mean, look, I'm literally talking to 23 of you And only 11 of you have liked my show so far, by the way. Just want to remind you that. 23 of you are talking to me right now with a square or rectangular device known as a phone, which nobody uses as a phone anymore. It's not the only way it's used. And remember Jack Kirby created this thing called a mother box? It's a freaking mother box. I got a mother box. Some people have Dick Tracy watches now. They could talk on their wrist. Yeah, I'll be there shortly. Yeah, I get that. I got my first books off the spinner rack at the Winn-Dixie. Yeah, Winn-Dixie, I got mine. I'm telling you, they used to have these little shops in Manhattan, or all over the place. The little weird dives. You go in, you can get a pack of cigarettes, soda, whatever it was that you were into, and get yourself a comic book and a newspaper. Like those, they were all together. News isn't even consumed on paper anymore, only digital. And now we're at a crisis point where we can't even trust information because it's how you control that. I mean, I'm literally on YouTube every day for the last 3 months, almost every day, walking. How do you know I'm really walking? I think you know. But you know what I'm trying to say? I can show you my legs. Want to see my legs? I'm walking. Whoosh. Oh yeah, just in case I had doubters. Because that's the only way I can show you. And then even then, with technology, I could be walking. I'm showing you I'm walking, but maybe it's CGI. And the CGI is getting better and better. Pretty soon, you're going to see celebrities who are dead hanging out with other celebrities. And then AI is going to take over. And then it's the apocalypse. It's going to be all right, guys. It's going to be all right. Make it 12 likes. Nah. Deep fakes, says Egg Chen. How you doing, Egg Chen? So anyway, all right, we're at 30 minutes, so I'm ready to walk. I'm going to take it a little slower now. Cool down. Excuse me. So here we are. And we find ourselves in a place where we have conventions built around small niche product. Elliot's tricking us with After Effects and green screen. Yeah. Oh God, I wish I had that technology knowledge and money for the equipment. Best sound effects. That rooster was awesome. God bless you too, Andrew J. Oh, that's for my sneeze. Thank you. Remember to smash the like button, everyone. Right on, right on. But anyway, so let me slow down. I don't know why I'm rushing on this path. Yeah, we find ourselves in this weird place where the things that we loved as children in our particular generation, that's another thing too. Like everything that's pop culture right now was gigantic when we were kids, this particular group. And I'll tell you why it's not working as well now. And I'm trying to be thoughtful about this comment. There's a group of kids, these millennials, this new wave. They got into, although I think I'm considered a millennial, but I don't know about that. I was born in 73. I don't think that's a millennial, but anyway, this current crop of kids dominating your social media platforms and everything, they didn't get something organically. Like the Transformers cartoons and the Thundercats and all that stuff, the G.I. Joe cartoons, they were designed to sell a toy to us as kids at a time where video games were still growing, still becoming a console. Home consoles were brand new. When I was growing up, when I was just a wee lad, like Atari and Coleco and Intellivision, and those were secondary models compared to the earliest things, Commodore 64s and other stuff. It's all so new, and we were at the beginning of like the birth of so much that is currently today is just accepted as, this is, what do you call it? This is take it for granted. We believe, we accept that this should be and should have always been. And it it's not. But when we were growing up, I still had to walk down to a store. We didn't have autonomous vehicles. We didn't have, which are, by the way, are brand new. That's the new thing for this generation. I mean, for us, it was like Stranger Things. We rode our bikes to an arcade if possible, or we still went places with our friends. We still went to each other's house. We didn't play games with each other across the internet. There wasn't an internet, and cable was still fresh. Guys, remember from my generation, you guys remember how cable was still like something either you stole or for somebody else's cable, or their dish, or excuse me, or maybe you or you just relied on your local stations, and I caught Superman on ABC every year when they would air it. And VHS. Remember when Beta was still competing with VHS? And it sounds like one of those, man, when I was a kid. Did post convention flu strike again? No, man. I think I got sick before. I got sick started last week. Yeah, I used to hide the fact that I was a comic fan because I also played sports. See, and now so much has changed. So much has evolved so quickly, and so this generation doesn't have that thing to hold on to. Their thing is Twitter. They're gonna look back in 20 years and say, "Hey, remember when Twitter was the place we all used to hang out at? Remember when we used to we used to talk smack to each other there? Now we talk smack some other way." And I remember when when I was a kid, we used to fight each other with fists. Today we do dog piles on the internet, which sometimes can cripple your whole business. But nobody cares because a bunch of kids are doing it. A bunch of children are running around acting foolish. So they don't understand how to deal with. They don't understand how precious what we have really is. I remember when I used to say, I don't know if there'll ever be a Spider-Man movie in my lifetime. That's how much I love Spider-Man. That's how much I love Spider-Man. I thought about a movie of Spider-Man in my lifetime that I would never get to see, how wonderful that might be. These kids don't have anything wonderful anymore. There's nothing fantastic. There's no idea of discovery. Everything's on the internet. And then when they do discover something, it's on the dark web and it's ugly. Or they discover they have power, but they don't. It's like imaginary power, and they flex it on you because we don't agree on something. Like it used to be that we could say things like, "Hey, I'm just gonna move on. Just move on. I can't." Some people say now that I can't move on because they keep coming after me. It's like that, like Al Pacino. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in, type of thing. uh, Dark Admiral says, "Good grief." Kuro says, "I remember when a Bruce Lee movie aired on TV, I would stay up late, record it on VCR so I could watch it again and again." Yeah, that too. Uh-oh. Guys, I gotta go. I'll talk to you soon.